Let me ask you something that most people avoid until the silence gets too loud. What voice do you hear when the world goes quiet? Because in that moment, when the applause fades, the notifications stop, and the sun slips below the edge of your doubt, your voice becomes the only voice that matters. Not the world's noise. Not their expectations. Not the echoes of people who stopped believing in their own story and want to rewrite yours in fear. No, your voice. The way you speak to you. That voice is either the architect of your greatness, or the assassin of your destiny. 3 days. That's all it takes to begin rewriting the script. Not the script they gave you, not the script you inherited, but the one you were born to speak. Talk to yourself like this for 3 days, and watch what happens. Because the most powerful words in the universe are not, "I love you," or "You can do it." The most powerful words are the ones you say to yourself. When no one is watching, and everything is at stake. Every revolution begins inside. And the most dangerous prison is the one where the bars are made of your own thoughts. Mindset is the throne. And until you seize it, you will serve whatever sits there: fear, doubt, shame, the past. They don't need permission. Just your silence. So say this, and say it like you mean it. I am not who they said I was. I am who I decide to become. Say it until your own cells tremble under the weight of your awakening. Say it until every scar becomes a badge and every failure becomes fuel. Because history does not remember the voices that whisper. It remembers the ones who roared in the dark. Ask Lincoln, who battled depression and still led through Civil War. Ask Harriet Tubman, who followed a voice louder than fear through the forest of captivity. Ask Edison, who failed 10,000 times and still believed the world needed light. They all had one thing in common. They refused to let their inner voice be an echo of doubt. They built a mindset like a cathedral, brick by belief, layer by layer, and they spoke to themselves like warriors, even when the world saw nothing but shadows. So now it's your turn. You don't need motivation. You need transformation. Not hype, but habit. Not noise, but a new narrative, repeated like a drumbeat in your soul, until your actions rise to meet your identity. Start here. I am capable. I am worthy. I am responsible. I am becoming. Not because some guru said it, but because you're done being average at being you. Talk like that for 3 days. Out loud. With conviction. With fire. Talk like a prophet to your own potential. Because mindset isn't a mood, it's a weapon. And in this life, you are either armed with belief, or you are walking into battle with your doubts exposed. But belief, real belief, isn't something you find. It's something you forge. Belief is what Andrew Carnegie felt when he was a poor Scottish boy working in a factory and said, "I will not die poor." It's what Oprah Winfrey believed when she was abused, abandoned, and broke, and still said, "I am destined for more." It's what Michael Jordan whispered in a high school gym after being cut from the team, "This doesn't define me. I define me." They talked to themselves like giants. And the world couldn't help but make room. You want to change your life? Talk like that. But not for 1 minute, not for one morning. 3 days. 3 days of speaking to yourself like your life depends on it, because it does. Every second you don't command your inner world, you surrender it to chaos. So look in the mirror, today, not casually, not with shame, but like a king confronting his reflection. And say, "I am not my past. I am not my pain. I am the author of this chapter. I am the storm that cleanses. I am the calm that follows. I am the standard now." And then live like that standard is sacred. Because mindset is not just how you think, it's how you move. It's how you rise. It's how you sit at the table of your fears and say, "Pass the salt, I'm not leaving." You talk like that for 3 days, and your world won't just shift, it will shake. Because clarity is born in fire. And the fire begins with your words. And once that voice starts speaking power, once it starts cutting through the noise like a sword through fog, that's when clarity emerges. Not from outside, not from opinions or algorithms, but from the deepest, rawest, most honest place within you. The place that remembers what you were really made for. Because when the mind is clouded, the soul stays silent. But when the fog lifts, when you command your voice to speak truth, clarity doesn't whisper. It screams. It says, you were not born to blend in. You were not put here to sleepwalk through mediocrity. You were designed, hand-carved by God, for a mission. And when that becomes clear, everything changes. Not all at once. Not with fireworks. But like a sunrise, slow, unstoppable, undeniable. Because clarity is not about knowing everything. It's about knowing the next step with certainty. And certainty doesn't come from comfort. It comes from commitment. From waking up, looking in the mirror, and saying, I don't need to see the whole path. I just need to walk with faith. And every step I take makes the fog retreat. That's vision. Not wishful thinking. Not Pinterest board fantasies. But a relentless pull, a fire in your bones. That says, I will not live beneath my calling. Ask Walt Disney, a man fired for lacking imagination. Ask Steve Jobs, a man who was kicked out of the very company he built. Ask Nelson Mandela, who walked out of prison after 27 years not with bitterness, but with vision. They all saw something no one else could see. And they talked to themselves like the vision was already real. That's the secret. Your life will rise to meet the level of your self-talk. Not your talent. Not your past. Not your luck. But the conversation in your head when everything's quiet and the pressure's high. So speak with vision. Say, I see who I'm becoming. I see where I'm going. I may not be there yet, but I walk like I'm already in the room. Because when you carry vision, the world responds. Doors unlock. People notice. But none of that matters if you don't see it first. And when vision connects with purpose, that's when something divine happens. Because purpose is not some mystical destiny waiting to be discovered. It's not something you find. It's something you decide. And once you decide it, you defend it with your life. You say, this is who I am now. This is what I do. And every breath, every choice, every action, feeds this fire. Purpose makes pain bearable. Purpose turns sacrifice into sacred ground. Without it, you're drifting. With it, you're anchored. No matter how wild the storm. Ask Martin Luther King Jr., whose purpose drove him into danger and history. Ask Mother Teresa, who held dying children in her arms not because it was easy, but because it was right. Ask David, who stepped onto the battlefield with 5 stones and purpose stronger than any army. You think you need more motivation? You need conviction. You need purpose that hits your soul like thunder. And you cultivate that with your words. You don't wait to feel it. You declare it. Say, I was made for more. I'm not here to impress. I'm here to impact. This world will feel my presence. This life will mean something. And mean it. Don't say it soft. Don't say it shy. Say it like your future depends on it, because it does. You talk like that for 3 days. And your purpose starts burning through every excuse. You'll feel it in your spine when you wake up. You'll hear it in your voice when you speak. You'll see it in your reflection. Not because everything's changed, but because you have. And the world bends to people who are clear, bold, and unshakable. So don't just repeat words like a chant. Infuse them with power. With emotion. With identity. Let them hit different. Let them carve new grooves into your mind. Let them erase the old script, the one full of hesitation and apology, and write a new one in ink that doesn't fade. This isn't magic. This is you, unchained. You talk like this for 3 days and you'll notice something. You don't just move differently. People respond differently. Doors that once ignored you now open. Opportunities that passed you by now stop and stare. Not because the world changed, but because your energy did. And energy follows purpose. So keep going. Speak like someone who has been to the bottom and chose not to stay. Speak like someone who is done with pretending to be smaller than their soul. Speak like someone who knows God put breath in their lungs for a reason, and every second they waste doubting that is a second they can never get back. And now that your mind is awakened, now that vision is burning and purpose is rising like a storm tide in your chest, there's only one thing left to do. Move. Because belief without action is a dream. Vision without execution is fantasy. Purpose without discipline is just noise. It's time to act like the person you've been talking about. To become the standard you've been preaching. To make your self-talk so real, so relentless, so woven into your blood, that every action becomes proof that you meant every word. Because talk is cheap. But discipline is expensive. It costs your comfort. It costs your excuses. It costs every version of you that wants to stay asleep. But discipline is how the real ones rise. It's what separated the greats from the ghosts. Edison didn't just talk about light. He got up, tried, failed, adjusted, and tried again, 10,000 times. Ali didn't just speak confidence, he lived it in sweat, in training, in war. He said, I hated every minute of training, but I said, don't quit. Suffer now and live the rest of your life as a champion. You say you want to change your life. Then get up early. Train when you're tired. Show up when it's inconvenient. Work while others whine. Discipline is love in motion, love for your future self. And every time you do what's hard when it's hard, you're casting a vote for the identity you declared 3 days ago. You said, I am becoming. Well, become. Not tomorrow. Not someday. Now. Because there will be days when motivation leaves you. But your standards, your disciplines, they'll stay. They'll carry you. They'll drag you forward when your feelings betray you. Let your schedule reflect your self-respect. Let your habits mirror your highest self, not your lowest mood. And say this to yourself. I don't need permission. I don't need perfect conditions. I just need to move. And when I move, mountains move. Because action creates clarity. Action builds confidence. Action turns the voice inside your head into a reality the world cannot ignore. You don't manifest your future by just speaking. You manifest it by aligning your speech with your steps. And if those steps are offbeat, if they stumble, good. That's how you grow. Because this isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. A disciplined man doesn't fear failure, he respects it. A disciplined woman doesn't avoid pain, she uses it. And a disciplined life doesn't need outside approval. Because the inner approval is louder than anything the world could offer. And yes, you'll fall. You'll break. You'll question. But that's where the transformation deepens. Because when the discipline breaks you down, resilience builds you back stronger. And you'll begin to hear a new voice rise. Not the loud one screaming doubt, but the quiet one that says, I've been here before. I've faced this before. And I don't fold, I forge. So walk through the fire. Not because you enjoy pain, but because pain is proof you're in the arena. That you're not watching. You're not waiting. You're not wishing. You're working. And say this to yourself every single day. I show up because I said I would. I act because I believe. I grind because I'm grateful. And I finish what I start. Because finishing is sacred. Anyone can start. Anyone can post. Anyone can talk about what they plan to do. But the finishers, they walk different. They talk different. Because they are different. They don't wait for perfect plans. They move with perfect faith. And faith without works is dead. But when you work with faith, you wake up parts of yourself you forgot existed. And suddenly, the voice in your head isn't just encouragement. It's command. It doesn't say, maybe someday. It says, now. Go. Again. One more. And the more you obey that voice, the louder it becomes. Until it drowns out every excuse, every limitation, every lie that ever told you to shrink. You are not weak. You are not broken. You are not too far gone. You are the living, breathing intersection of fire and focus. And your discipline is the proof that your words have weight. So move. Speak. Act. Repeat. And when the world asks what changed, you don't say, I got lucky. You say, I started talking to myself like I actually mattered. And then I started living like it. But even as the fire burns, as discipline molds you and action lifts you, there's a deeper current running through the life you're building. It's not always loud. It doesn't shout. It doesn't shake the room. It humbles you. It centers you. It roots your power in something eternal. Gratitude. Because a person without gratitude is a flame without fuel, they burn out fast. But the one who wakes up and says, I may not be where I want to be, but thank God I'm not where I used to be, that person becomes immovable. Gratitude isn't weakness. It's warfare. It's what David sang in caves. It's what Mandela held onto in isolation. It's what Helen Keller tapped into in silence. Gratitude transforms struggle into strength. It rewrites failure into foundation. It reminds you that even on your worst day, you're still breathing, still building, still becoming. So speak this to yourself. I am grateful. Grateful for the fight. Grateful for the fire. Grateful for every bruise that taught me to stand taller. Gratitude doesn't mean you settle. It means you acknowledge the power of what already is, while still reaching for what can be. Because if you can't appreciate the process, you'll never be trusted with the promise. And when things shift, as they always do, it's gratitude that gives you the clarity to adapt. Because adaptability isn't just strategy. It's identity. Life will not wait for you to feel ready. It will not ask if now's a good time. It will change. Suddenly. Brutally. Beautifully. And the ones who rise aren't the ones who resist that change. They're the ones who say, let it come. I'm not married to my plan. I'm married to my mission. You have to be like water. Strong enough to cut through rock. Soft enough to take any shape. Resilient enough to keep flowing, even through darkness. Talk to yourself like that when the ground shifts beneath you. Say, this is not the end. This is the reroute. This is the refinement. I was built for this. Because storms don't just shake you, they reveal you. And sometimes, God doesn't calm the storm. He lets the storm show you what He already built inside you. Adapt. Adjust. Evolve. When the plan fails, don't panic. Don't shrink. Don't start rewriting your worth because the path looks different. Instead, stand in the chaos and say, my value isn't tied to a timeline. My vision isn't bound to one route. I don't break. I bend. Because adaptability is the cousin of wisdom. And wisdom says, don't curse the detour, there's gold in it. Some of your greatest breakthroughs will come disguised as breakdowns. And the version of you that survives those shifts, that version can't be shaken. That version speaks with a different kind of weight. And in the center of it all, you will be tested not just by change, but by resistance. The setbacks, the silence, the heartbreak, the grind. And this is where your self-talk becomes sacred. This is where resilience is born. Not in the easy days, not in applause or achievement, but in the silence. When no one sees, when progress slows, when quitting feels like mercy. That's when you look yourself in the mirror, eye to eye, and say, I'm still here. I'm still breathing. And I'm not done yet. Resilience is not talent. It's not luck. It's not something you're born with. It's built in pain, carved in silence, forged in fire. It's what kept Lincoln leading through failure. It's what kept Frederick Douglass riding in chains. It's what kept Serena serving through loss, injury, and doubt. You want resilience? Then stop asking life to be easier. Start asking yourself to be stronger. And every time you fall, fall forward. Every time you break, break open, not apart. Speak like someone who knows the mountain was made to be climbed. And when your legs shake, say, this is where I rise. This is where I learn to carry what once crushed me. Because resilience doesn't deny pain. It respects it. It learns from it. It transcends it. And the resilient don't avoid the storm, they become it. So say it. Every morning. Every night. Every time fear whispers. I don't run. I don't fold. I bend, but I do not break. And after 3 days of talking to yourself like this, with this fire, this gratitude, this unshakable power, you will wake up as someone the world has never seen before. Not because everything changed, but because you did. So now, after 3 days of speaking life into your bones, after 3 days of confronting yourself with truth, after 3 days of walking different, breathing different, believing different, you've tasted something most people never touch. Mastery of the inner world. And once you touch it, once you feel what it's like to speak to yourself with boldness, with reverence, with the kind of truth that could wake the dead, you cannot go back. You won't fit in the cage you once called home. You won't be able to shrink back into your old skin. Because now you've seen what it feels like to be alive. Not just functioning. Not just surviving. But alive, with conviction in your chest and vision in your veins. Because real power doesn't start with status. It starts with the standard you demand from yourself. And now you know how to set it. Not by waiting for someone to give you permission. Not by hoping for motivation to strike like lightning. But by declaring, every day, this is who I am now. This is how I walk now. This is how I speak to myself now. And nothing beneath that level survives. You're not chasing approval anymore. You're not seeking validation in applause or metrics or empty noise. You become the voice that once saved you. The voice that wakes up and says, I don't need to see the whole mountain to climb. I don't need the whole world to believe, just me. I don't need the old version of me to agree. He had his time. She served her purpose. But now, I rise. You become your own revolution. And the world will feel that. It can't not. Because people who are anchored in identity can't be swayed by storms. People who speak life over themselves walk through fire like it's a hallway. They bleed purpose. They leak power. They make rooms shift without raising their voice. Because now your voice has weight. Your words have roots. Your actions have echoes. This is how legacies are built. Not by what you leave behind, but by what you become while you're still here. And let this burn into your spirit. The people who change the world. Start by changing the conversation they have with themselves. So no more apologizing for your presence. No more explaining your worth. No more negotiating with fear like it pays your rent. You are done shrinking for rooms you were built to fill. Done playing small for people committed to comfort. Done waiting for signs that were already written in your heartbeat. Now you move like someone who's heard the voice of God inside. Now you rise like someone who knows that mountains are afraid of you. Now you stand, unshaken, and you say, I am here. I am whole. I am called. I am ready. And no one, not the critics, not the ghosts, not the past, can take that from you. So go. Speak like a king. Move like a warrior. Live like the chosen one you are. Because you've learned the sacred truth. The way you talk to yourself is the way you shape the world. And if you speak like a prisoner, you'll live in chains. But if you speak like a lion, if you speak like a child of heaven and fire and unbreakable purpose, then the world will step aside. Or it will try to stop you, and fail. But either way, you will become what you declare. And now, you know what to declare. I am not average. I am not afraid. I am not done. I am becoming. I am the voice I was waiting for. And this is just the beginning.